Hey everyone, today I'm going to take a look at BesGnu Linux. BesGnu Linux is a desktop based on Debian Trixie, and this is a distro that I have never looked at before, so this is new to me. And also the JWM window manager is the main desktop environment is here, so that is another thing that's new to me. I've never used JWM before, so not at all familiar with it. I think it is X11 based. Their newest release here is BesGnu Linux JWM 3-0. So this looks like it was released right around the 20th of August, which was just recently, freshly showed up on DistroWatch. So I saw this and said, wow, this is something I got to check out. So here I am. And I already went ahead and installed everything because it features the Calamares installer, and we've all seen that like a million times before, so why have to go through all that? So I'm right here at the login prompt, and it looks like everything installed just fine here. So I just need to add in my username. It's not showing up by default, so I'll pop that in there and then just put in my password. Since I got this far, I'm pretty sure everything's going to work, except I typed it wrong. Let's try that again. I think I left out a character. There we go. Okay, so this is our desktop here, and right off the bat, it looks very beautiful. And this is a JWM window manager here. And down here at the bottom, we have our taskbar and our application launcher menu here. And you can see there looks like there's a lot of customized scripts in here as well for this distro. I am liking that. And then here we got our kind of like a GNOME style application launcher where it takes up the whole screen. And I really like this too because we can get a good look at everything overall at a glance. And then I just clicked on that gear there just to see what was related to settings there, but nothing much. So that's cool. And then we got two workspaces that are showing here that are available right off the bat at default. And then we got some of our taskbar items like our audio control here, and you just slide the slider up and down, so pretty handy. And it looks like we got a little preferences panel here too, so we click on that and we open up our PAVU control and can access all our playback and recording and everything right off the bat right from here. Really nice look overall. And then over here we got I can't tell what that is. That's a run command. Okay, so that's kind of like KRunner, I guess, where you can just go up there and type in a command and it tells you it's not there, probably because Inkscape's not installed. But anyways, you can type in an app and then, it should launch right from that runner app. So that's kind of a nice thing to have. So let's do PCman FM. There we go. So that's installed and came right up. It's very nice. And PCman FM is the default file manager on this. We also have our Ethernet manager. And then over here we got our clock. And so if we hover over that, it shows our date and you can click on it. And then if you want, you can adjust your time zone. But by default, it auto-detected your time zone. So that should be okay. And then, like I said, if you hover over it, then you get a date format, and then right-click and you get your calendar. And so nice little calendar there that you can easily scroll through. And I'm not sure, being that this is a JWM window manager, I don't know if this might be using Polybar maybe, but I'm not sure, so don't want to say. And then, of course, the last one is our power strip and has our log out and shut down reboot buttons and all that, which looked very nice, actually. Then over here, we got our dock here. So you can see that we got Chrome by default. Apparently, they used to use Brave browser, but Brave was taking too long to launch, so they switched their default browser to Chromium, which I think was a pretty decent choice given the circumstances. And then over here we got, again, our PCman FM file launcher, our terminal here. And if we go in here, we can see that it's the LX terminal. Nice. And the theming is really nice here. And I just want to verify, yeah, that's PCman FM 1.4. And then if we click on this guy, this is our default editor. And if we go into About, you can see that it's running Pluma 1.28.1. Very good. And then finally, we got this guy, which is add remove items to our panel. So if we want to add more things to our panel, we got a nice easy utility to go in here and just select different items, and then we can add it right in. If we want to add something in, we would select over here on the left-hand side, and then it'll show up in the panel over here. And in reverse, if we want to remove something, select it on the right-hand side, and then it will disappear from the panel. So it's really easy to add and remove items in that panel as well. So let's take a look at our menu. Starting with accessories, we got Clam in there, which is an antivirus for Linux, I believe. Continuing on in the accessories here, we also got KeePass XC, which is a nice password manager, something I really like. GTK settings, Pluma. So let's just take a look at our LightDM GTK greeter here. We can go in here and we can set our settings for our greeter, which is what you see when you log in. And here it shows the image you can choose. And by default, we had pretty much a non-image. And then over here we got our panel settings, so you can adjust your panel, where you want your login text area there. And then here we got a lot of custom scripts here through the BesGnu Linux, or BES, and here we got our app image repo manager, app image homepage. So these are a lot of nice app image package manager utilities, it looks like, which is cool. And I'm assuming this must be like a custom script made by the BES team here. Not 100% sure, but when you click on it, it opens up a web page over to your app image GitHub apps area. And what else do we got in here? We got Conky Control, change the background. You might as well see what we got here for our background choices. Looks like a lot of them, actually. The default background I really like, so no complaints there for sure. But you can see that there's a lot to choose from. I don't see a scroll bar, so I'm not really quite sure how you would get down to the other ones. We can see it changes instantly. And given that there's no scroll bar, I guess we could maybe just expand the window. That might work better. There's a nice one, kind of a silky look to it. So I'm just going to grab the corner here and just move that down a bit. And there we go. Now we can get a better overall view. And some really nice looking landscapes back here. And of course, this isn't a landscape, it's a waterscape. However, it looks pretty nice. And then here we got some blur activity going on with different colors. That's a really nice overall effect that's not busy at all. And then a beautiful reflective shot there. Another nice landscape out in a pond. Nice. So you have a really good variety here. That looks interesting. That could be a candidate to keep there. I like that. That is actually quite cool. That's a nice background. I might keep that for my own collection. And then there's another cool one. Some nice purple shades in there. Another lake scene. Oh, I like that too. That might actually be the winner. Yeah, so a nice wallpaper there. I really like the color combinations. It complements this theme really nice. So I'm good with that too. So far, this seems to be really intuitive to work with. I'm liking the fact that everything is just easy to access. And even changing the wallpaper just updates on the fly, just like you were in XFCE. Or I think Cinnamon does that too, which is a feature I like just because. And I'm just going to kill that because for some reason it didn't close. So and that's another thing I like actually, is you can access that kill menu right from the taskbar there by right-clicking. Onward and upward, we got default applications, download everything. That's another, it looks like a download script here. And so you can pop in a URL, YouTube links, and I guess I'll even download a YouTube video. Cool. That's a nice little utility there. And again, I'm assuming these are customized utilities made by the BES team there, given that they're in that category. But yeah, it looks like you can even just download a YouTube video by popping in a YouTube URL. Kind of like YT Downloader, I guess, or YT DLP. So yeah, a lot of scripts there. Power control, local translation. That's kind of neat. Local translation. Oh, nice. So it's a translate app, language that we can just use right here on the local computer. So if I want to translate something like from English and translate it to Chinese, I can do that if I can find Chinese. Here we go. Chinese LZH, I think is what we want. That would be, or ZH. Yeah, China. Yeah, there we go. That should be standard Mandarin. So if I pop that in there and then maybe use Google as the engine, I could put a web URL in there and it would translate the page for me. Or I could just put in a phrase like, hello there. And then if I hit translate, I think it'll show up in the output there in Chinese. But you don't have to hit save. So I'm going to hit translate. And there it is. Ni hao la. I think that says, wow, that's really cool. So yeah, local translate. Looks like it's also got a listen feature. That's kind of cool. Let's check the listen feature. Whoa. Yeah, I guess I was pretty close. Yeah, local translate right at your fingertips. I like it. So the local translation, that's a winner for me too. That's really cool. Then we got a screenshot utility here, a nice customized GUI interface for that. Got choices between full screen, active window, and you can select an area too. That's always nice. So I'm just going to select an area here, just see how it looks. And then I guess you just hit save and it'll save it for you. And there it is. Wow, that's pretty cool. I like that. Now I could make that my wallpaper and stick it on someone's computer for their wallpaper, and they'll think they have a file manager permanently open that they can't close. Oh yeah, always the prankster. And here's where our pictures are stored, right in our pictures folder directly, so easy to find once you do a snapshot. And if we go down here to our BSP JWM, we got more utilities. These are probably more in the line of tools, I guess. And these might be customized tools here. It looks pretty handy. Whatever it does, there's an EQ setting. So if you want to enhance your sound by default, it looks like you can just go up here and adjust your EQ. So like if I wanted more bass or something, I could just pop over here and crank up the controls a little bit. Of course, in real life, it'd probably be helpful to have some music playing or something. Yeah, nice to see that EQ in there. Show image and title. So yeah, it looks like these are just kind of basic settings that you can easily activate here from this Activate Tools utility. And of course, it turns green when it's activated. And then down here, a little farther, we got JWM opacity settings, our panel control, which I think is that same area we were at before that we launched from the dock. But no, it isn't. Nice. So this is a manage panels area. We could change positions. I just selected the top instead of the bottom. So if you want to move your panel up on top, you can do it right there. Very nice. And so now we can access everything from up above. We got our startup settings, window buttons, window controls. So I can come in here and tweak our controls if you like, and I can select those by applications and customize them. A nice thing to have. You can set your transparency like for on calculator at 0.90, which is a slight transparency. And then all these different options start with a shader, enable auto maximize, and so forth. So that's that utility. Here we got a kernel manager, so this is nice. That looks like a nice, easy way to manage your kernel. So after you authenticate, because it needs elevated privileges, it gives you a choice to install a kernel or to remove one. I don't know what it's going to do when it hits install. It looks like it gave me a lot of options here. So I can choose from different kernels if I want to add in an older or slightly older version, or it looks like more alternate versions there. And then we got our third-party software. So I think those are probably proprietary things that aren't GNU-based, because by the name BesGnuLinux, it implies that everything is GNU stuff. But they give you an option to go a little beyond GNU. Well, here we got Dropbox, Google Chrome. So yeah, we got some proprietary stuff in there for sure. Nice. That's cool they give you that option there. And that utility really makes it convenient to do that. And then System Updater as well. I like that. And then a lot of little games here. Pretty big selection. And then under our graphics, we got Inkscape. So we do have Inkscape. LibreDraw, View Noir for our picture viewer. And then here we got under Internet, our Chromium browser, Multimedia SM player by default for video, which is nice, as well as looked like MPV player. And then we got LibreOffice is our default Office app. And I think I'll just open that just to show you theming. Typically, LibreOffice opens up in light mode, even when you're in dark mode, but this is in dark mode. Or not typically, but I mean, sometimes it does. And if I go over here to Tools, and I go to Options, because that's not really the ideal theme there. If I go to View here, we can change this from automatic to something dark. Like here it looks like Calibre Dark is the choice to go with. So I'll hit Apply, and then OK. And now our icons show up a lot better. You can see that our toolbar looks a lot more lit up now, easier to see. So yeah, just wanted to show you that real quick. I'll just skip down to Settings. We have our Advanced Network, Customize Look and Feel. That's always a good one. And so that looks like the LX appearance, which is pretty nice. You can go to a light theme quite easily, add weighted dark if you want to change your theme to a more black kind of look, but I really like the B dark, I think, or the best dark. So BES dark, I think, is my favorite. And even with the icons, I'm going to stay with the best icon. But if you like different icons, you can change them, like to GNOME for the old classic look, or some high contrast. And this one, which is kind of like a Windows look. So if I close PCMan FM and open it back up again, it should have the new, except that's not PCMan FM. What am I doing? It is right here, I think. With a different icon, it's hard to discern what that is. But here we go. So yeah, there's our kind of our Windows 10 look there, or 11-ish. I don't use Windows, so I really don't know what they look like lately. But the last time I remember, they were kind of like this. But I'm going to set the icons back to where they were. And that last item there was refresh JWM. I just wanted to refresh that just out of curiosity to see if my icons would update. But you got to actually refresh the PCMan FM. So there. And then we got choice between our light cursors and our dark cursors. The light one is kind of XP style, it looks, which is kind of cool. Little nostalgia there. And then also we got our desktop preferences. So might as well take a look at that, or not. Desktop manager is not active. Okay, it's not active. Onboard, I think that's keyboard. Yeah, so that's our onboard keyboard. And we saw that option there when we were playing around with the GTK greeter settings too, to include that. There's firewall configuration, GW package installer, which is nice to have on there, G-Sync, LX terminal, which we've been in, our print settings, so easy peasy to set up printers. And then we got our Synaptic package manager. Synaptic is probably one of my favorite package managers on Debian. It's very lightweight. It's essentially a front end for apt. And there's our little dialog box that just kind of explains stuff. So if we pop over here, then we got a whole list of apps, and then they're all kind of grouped here by category, so you can pop in here and just look at them by categories. And most of you that use Debian ought to be fairly familiar with the Synaptic Package Manager. I like it because it's lightweight and fast. You can just pop up to the search box there, type in what you're looking for, or you can just browse. So that's a Synaptic Package Manager. Nice to see that that's got easy access. And then finally, we got our run terminal text editor, our frequently accessed stuff there. So I'm just going to pop out of here. And back in our panel control, I forgot to show you that you can set your clock options in here for your clock up on the panel. So if you want to have seconds or you want to go to AM, PM format rather than 24-hour, here I selected seconds 24-hour, and then you can see that the seconds show up on a 24-hour format. So in case you were curious, that's how you can adjust the clock, because you can't adjust it just simply by right-clicking up there. So you want to do that through your Manage Panels. At least that's what I discovered anyway. And then, of course, you can tweak all the other stuff like your text color and different things like that. But just wanted to run through that. And then, of course, your text, your font sizes and all that, and your taskbar size. So if you want to make your panel bigger, you can just hit those plus buttons and it'll grow, or you can type it in, or you can shrink it. Panel positions, I guess I'll just stick that back on the bottom for continuity's sake, since that was a default. And then I'll hit quit just to see what happens. It quit. The button works. So again, if we pop over here to our Add to Panel, anything in here that you use fairly often, you can just select it and pop it in. Like the atrial document viewer, I think that's worth having in there. So if I was daily driving this, I would pop that in there. But just a huge array of choices here. I think last time when I had this opened earlier, I didn't scroll down here and just show you all the stuff that's available, but there's just a ton of things in here that you can choose from to add to your panel. So that is really cool. I didn't give that enough attention earlier, so I just wanted to scroll through that real quick and just show you that again. But again, I really like this where you have your choice between a more traditional launcher and then this full screen grid launcher here. It's really nice to be able to just see everything at a glance. And then there's our weather. So I just clicked on that. That's a weather utility. And I like that too. Wow. Based on WTTR.in. So a very nice console weather app there that's available as well in this distro. And I think I ran out of stuff to look at. So I'm just going to say here that this is my first run with JWM. And again, I'm looking at this as someone that's never used either JWM or BesGnu Linux. And what I'm seeing here as someone that's never used it at all before, I am liking this. I think this is something, if I was new to Linux and I just stumbled across this distro, I would probably be quite attached to it. I'd probably install it and use it and not really have any issues at all. And of course, we got the Debian stable background there, which is now 13. And given the timing of Debian 13, everything is quite recent. I am somewhat a fan of Debian anyway. So yes, I mean, Debian and Arch are really my two choices. And for me, they're just kind of interchangeable. Sometimes I'll just use Arch for a long time, and then sometimes I'll just go back to Debian and use it for quite a while. Typically, when I run Debian myself, I run SID or testing because I do like having access to the newer stuff, even though that's not so relevant anymore because you got things like DistroBox and Snaps and Flatpaks and all that. So you got a ton of options for running up-to-date software. DistroBox being one of my favorites, I think, just because I can have AUR access via Arch and all that other good stuff. But yes, I mean, that's not even an excuse anymore as far as up-to-date software in Debian. The current kernel on here, which I think the version is 6.12, So yes, would I use this? Absolutely. I really like what I'm seeing here. And I also like the fact that BesGnu Linux is a GNU Linux with an option to add proprietary stuff through their utility. So I think that's really cool. I can just go in there and add in Chrome if I want Chrome. And I forgot what else was in there, but they had a few different proprietary and non-GNU items in there that were open source. Having that choice, I think, is really cool. I'm all about choice. I'm never going to complain when somebody gives you something that's choice related. What I see here is all about choice. So I got to tell you, my best 2 thumbs up for BesGnu Linux. This is a really nice distro. I like it, and I can tell that it's stable already. I don't even understand half the utilities that are in here because I didn't really go in there that deep and explore them, but I think that would be half the fun of having a new distro like this, is to be able to go through that journey of discovery with all those different customized utilities that are available, utilities and apps through the BesGnu Linux project here. So definitely something I would think is a worthwhile endeavor. And this JWM, I'm probably going to play with this for a while after I turn off the camera, because the JWM desktop environment is really cool. The JWM would definitely be something I would probably enjoy playing with. And with that, I think I've babbled enough. This is a JWM review, new experience that I really enjoyed doing. So it was a lot of fun to go through this desktop. I recommend if you're bored and you want to try something different, get out an old laptop or set up a VM and just pop this on and take a look at it and just play around with it. You might like what you see. And with that, I hope this review was helpful, and if it was, don't forget to leave that thumbs up and hit that subscribe button while you're at it. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.